Hello, hello. How are you? Oh my goodness. So good to be with you. How the heck are you? I mean, seriously. We have 20 days until Christmas and fewer to Hanukkah. I believe Hanukkah starts tomorrow. I want to know, how are you feeling? This is kind of a funny time of year, kind of a downtime with work. And on the other hand, kind of a dig deep time with 2024 business planning and execution detail planning, right? And soon kids will be off school for holiday break till early January. You got gifts to grab online and in person. You got gifts to wrap, cookies to bake, memories to make, traditions to either keep or start. And I just want to encourage you as I begin today, right now, with our topic of how to handle compensation conversations like a pro. Can we slow things down? Can we give me a one? Can we slow things down so we can actually enjoy it? Because you and I both know that in the blink of an eye, it'll be over. And it will be January and we'll be into our New Year's resolutions. I don't do New Year's resolutions. I think of it as I have goals. I am honoring my commitment to those goals. But, so many people have New Year's resolutions, then Valentine's Day, and then it goes on and on and on. And I hereby free you from the hectic pace. And I encourage you to just freaking enjoy. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. But just as we get started, I want to sing you a song. I speak monthly in Tammany Hall's Social Simplicity membership. And I like to infuse fun into my coaching as part of my CEO agent method to living that pinnacle CEO agent lifestyle, making great money, serving great clients who respect you while enjoying a great life. So tell me in the comments what you think of this. And by the way, I invite you to use it, if you like it. So it goes along with the Last Christmas song by Wham. So let me just take a drink. Give me a 2 if you want to hear it. I'm going to sing. All right. All right. Last Christmas, your house was worth X, but the very next year, this year, it's worth even more. This year, to save you from tears, I'll sell it with multiple offers, or I'll sell it to someone special. And here's the deal. I don't care if you're not a singer. Are you willing to be talked about? Are you ready to be innovative? Because that's kind of what that is. All right. So I shared that in Tammany's group and they loved it. But who thinks that would make a person smile or laugh or evoke some kind of emotion, even if they think, wow, that chick's crazy, right? So maybe get a Santa hat on, make that video and text that puppy out. Or you could, here's another kind of rendition. Okay. Last Christmas, you were in your new house, and the very next year, it's worth even more. This year, to save you from tears, I'll tell you what it's worth today. It doesn't really matter what you say. Okay. Anyway, what do you think? This is fun, but this isn't the topic of the day, right? So let me get over to that for you. Give me a 5 in the comments if you're ready. Let's go. Here we go. All right, let me turn this off. Oh, I am sharing in this training specifically what works. In my final, I want to give you an update. Okay. So my final training of 2023 is happening December 14th, next week at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, called 6-Figure Success Secrets. I'm going to be sharing 6 timeless things that top agents know and implement in any market to thrive. Okay. Again, sharing specifically what works in this current market. Okay. Because I want you to know things have changed. So if you want to have the Zoom link to that, just write the word success in the comments below. People's brains and beliefs have changed. And I share with you how to address what's happening now and what people are hearing about the real estate market and separate the myths from the truth. So 6 distinct secrets, things that I used back in 07, 08, which had me soar to the top, while so many of my peers who were in the business far longer than I was quit and got other jobs. They got out of the business. These are the same distinct things that make up the CEO agent method that gets my clients to their first 100K, their first 250K a year, their first 500K a year, $1 million a year. So again, write the word success in the comments. I'll get you that Zoom for the live training that I cannot wait. I'm going to delight in giving to you on December 14th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. So go ahead now and write the word success in the comments. All right. So the topic of today, lately, I've had clients bringing up questions about compensation discussions and, compensation conversations, and how they either don't know what to say or they feel like the person put their back against the wall and they feel like they have to defend their value. Okay. Let me know in the chat if in the comments, if this, if you've experienced any of this. But I want to start at the beginning. Okay. So here we go. The market is always changing, period. When have you ever heard this market is sure consistent, right? Never. And you never will. So we have to just know the truth. Okay. So that's great to keep in your brain, that there's never a time when the market is not shifting or changing, right? Which is why when you get a listing, if they're not ready to list right away, you say, right now, if we were to list, this is your price. And if you are waiting, then I'm going to have to look at comps again, right? So at any time, people could say, well, I don't know about buying or selling or investing in this market, right? Remember back to 2020 when the rates were 2.5% and people said, well, I don't like to compete. I'm going to wait until, the competition slows down. How did that work out? All right. So number one, the market is always changing. And that's important that you know that as truth. Okay. Because what's happening, and the reason for some of these conversations of compensation issues that are coming up, is because of the bombardment of like incessant negative news about the real estate market. And so we buy into it as realtors. I don't buy into it. I fight it. I don't listen to the nonsense. And I suggest you do the same. But the general public, hears it. And so anyway, all right. So keep that in your brain, and on to number 2 with compensation conversations. Ladies, upfront discussion upon initial meeting is imperative, okay? Because in 90% of the time, when it feels confrontational, when it feels like you're having to defend your value, it's because you didn't talk about it in the beginning. You didn't set the expectation, okay? So I encourage, and I teach this to my clients, that upon initial meeting, you want to say, this is the way it works, buying or selling or investing in this market. Now, in most cases, when compensation comes up, tell me if, this is what my clients are telling me at every level, even if they make 200,000, okay, or more, okay? It makes you feel defensive, yucky, somehow dirty. But I want you to know that there's 2 reasons for that. Number one, it's because you didn't lead the conversation from the get-go, which is what I just said, right? You put it off. And I want you to know that that's not what a leader does. And you, as a realtor, are a CEO. You are a leader, remember? So we have to bring that up first, okay? The other reason it feels yucky is like, you feel like when you get paid, you feel like there's a general consensus out there that realtors are snakes and they don't earn their money. Ladies, we have to clean that up. Okay. You have to clean that up. You have to write down, grab a pen and paper. What is the evidence that you are valuable? Okay. Your brain has to know that on top of your head without even thinking about it. And the way that happens is you are intentional and you say, okay, how do I know that I am worth my compensation. Okay. So I encourage you to listen to my podcast, episode number 19. And my podcast is called oh my gosh, now I forget what the heck it's called. Make Great Money as a Real Estate Agent. Goodness gracious, there's all kinds of people coming in and out of my house. So I hope that you can hear me and don't hear all the background. But my podcast is called Make Great Money as a Real Estate Agent. And episode number 19, I'm interviewing my client, Michelle Dakota, who is able to secure 7% compensation on her listings. Not all of them, of course, but on a good number of them. And so it would be worthwhile for you to hear that conversation. Anyway, all right, episode number 19, Make Great Money as a Real Estate Agent. So let's take the buyer first. Listen, when you first talk with a buyer, perhaps it's a lead, perhaps it's a friend who referred you to their daughter, their mother to buy. Inside, the CEO Agent Academy, and my clients get what I call a buyer intake form. Okay. And it's very conversational, and it's simply you asking questions and having a regular dialogue, a beautiful conversation with you setting the tone. Here's how it works in this market. And it could be very well different in other markets, but I can speak to how it works here. You're setting the expectation up front that this is normal. You speak with confidence, okay? So you would, they want to look at a house. Oh, hi. Oh, you want to look at 123 Main Street? Okay, hold on one second. I'm not going to give you the whole dialogue, but, you get the appointment set up. Then you would say, okay, since we are just beginning working together, is now a good time for us to have our initial intake dialogue, or would you like to reschedule that for later tonight when your spouse can be with us, right? And ladies, you can do that on Zoom. You can do that and meet in your office or, at Starbucks before going to see that house. But if you are just winging it and meeting clients at homes without having the initial conversation within which you discuss buyer agency, then you're going to get what you not deserve, but yeah, kind of, right? So what I'm going to do, further along, I only have like 10 more minutes left, so stick with me. I'm going to speak more to that. But when you are talking about like the seller compensation, okay, you again speak to the fact that compensation for to sell your home this is how it's handled. And it's actually between my broker and you as the seller. Okay. And what happens is my broker shares a portion of that with the buyer's agent. And this is how it's been done for decades upon decades, right? For 50 plus years. This is how it's been done. So you are stating these facts with confidence and certainty, and as if it's just matter of fact. Okay. So I want you to consider when you are talking with a new buyer or when you are in a listing appointment, how are you talking about compensation, right? Because coaching is not about beating your butt or having shame around anything that you're not doing optimally. It's about learning and tweaking and getting better every day. Okay. So let's go on to the third part. And that is, if you are now working with people and you didn't set the stage and suddenly they're putting you on the spot, how do you handle that? So ladies, the way we're taught from, baby on up, not baby, but youngster on up is, when someone asks you a question, you answer it. You be respectful and you answer that question. But what I want to encourage you to do is inquire for more details. So if they say, gosh, I'm not really sure about this, I heard about this lawsuit and I'm not really sure, whatever they bring up, then you want to say, can you share more about that? Can you share more about that? Oh, tell me more. What did you hear? And it's never in a defensive posture, ever, ever, ever. It's in an open dialogue, having a conversation. Okay. So I want you to also keep in mind, and I mentioned this before, that you may perceive the compensation conversation as potentially confrontational. But I want to encourage you to pivot and tweak the way you perceive it, and that perhaps they're being confrontational, but perhaps they're not. Perhaps they're just confused. They've heard some things and they want to protect their money. Okay. So when you inquire and you ask them, oh, tell me more. What are you thinking? Or what did you hear? Then you're able to reply and say, oh my goodness, and I'm going to share with you what to say in just a few minutes. But now I want to move on to what if someone says, I'm not sure I need you for new construction, right? Because there's a lot of new construction across the United States. And so you may have been showing someone resales, and all of a sudden they have you have asked them, or they're talking to you and they're like, yeah, I'm thinking about going over to the XYZ neighborhood or XYZ builder and buy new. And they may think, I don't really need you for that. And so as a part of my buyer intake, I actually train I teach and coach my clients to really understand if new construction is an option, and have that dialogue up front to say that I understand why this might be confusing, but let me share with you that the woman or man who is sitting there smiling, who you think is working for you at the builder's, model home, is actually a paid employee of the builder, and their allegiance is to the builder, and you will not have representation unless you bring me. And then at that point, you would say, for example, and then you go back to a time, and if you don't have these stories, I share them to my, with my clients, but, there have been times when because what new home builders will say, the salespeople say is, you don't need a home inspection because as we build the home, we have the county approvals on the electric and the plumbing and all those things, so you're all covered. But how many of you have found issues, have had clients who bought a new home construction, and when you have a home inspection, they find stuff, right? They do. So you say, well, I understand why you might feel that way because of the misinformation or because of the myths that are floating about as if it's real. But here's what I know. And that's a beautiful conversation. And those are beautiful words. But here's what I know. I would write that down. Okay. Now, the fourth scenario is, what if you're out and about and people just ask about the lawsuit? Because the lawsuit, can be easily misinterpreted as I read some of the articles, right? So when they ask you about the lawsuit, rather than just telling them, again, you want to ask them, what have they heard? This gives you a baseline to talk from. Okay. So let's go to the buyer agency conversation. Okay. So in my coaching, when you're talking to a buyer and you're qualifying them through the buyer intake prior to taking them to show houses. And I know many of you say, I'm just going to show it. And I can see why you might think that, but I want you to think about this. If I have, my dermatologist told me that, that might be cancerous. And then they say, yes, it is. And when I go into an oncologist, don't you want that oncologist to speak with conviction? To say, this is the way I work. This is the way it is with me. And you hope they have standards, correct? So ladies, I want to encourage you to have standards, okay? And the way you talk about buyer agency that is optimal is that you say, and if you do want to give a free gimme, okay, because, I'll just use that as an example. They say, I like to show the first home so that I can get with them face to face. And then I talk about the buyer agency. Okay. We'll do it your way. You can say, and then in the state of X, we have what's called buyer agency. What this does is it gives you optimal representation so that when you find the home that you want to buy, because I've done this and I do this every day, you will have my expertise representing you. Okay. And nothing that's been said in the NAR lawsuit is counter to that. Okay. The only issue in the NAR, well, the main issue in the NAR is whether the seller should pay for the buyer's representation. Okay. And what you need to know, and I hope that you do, I hope this isn't like new information, but I really want to shout it from the mountaintops to make sure that you understand when the seller covers compensation for both sides, for the listing agent and the buyer's agent. Okay. It allows the buyer to pay for their representation within their mortgage, right? Because they don't have to bring cash to closing for that representation. Okay. So things may change in the future. And this is what you want to say, ladies. Things may change in the future. Let me ask you, in your business, in your life, does anything remain unchanged? I mean, I just feel like in businesses change policies, right? And things are tweaked along the way. And so, in fact, nothing ever stays exactly the same. So when there's a ruling, things may change. But right now, while the lawsuit is ongoing until the final ruling, it's business as usual. And you delight in giving the ultimate representation to your buyers, your sellers, and your investors. Give me a 10 if that makes sense. So again, just to review, you are approaching the compensation proactively, preferably in your initial consult. You present it as a matter of fact. This is the way it works. You present yourself as a leader and you say, matter of factly, this is the way it works. Okay. You stand on what you know to be true and not on hearsay and scare tactics. You stand on and you repeat your up-leveled standard of care for your clients, the value that they bring, and what happens without representation on a FSBO, on a new construction, what happens when they move forward without representation. Okay. And that is how you can, and then you ask questions. When they ask you a question about compensation or clarification, you don't perceive it as a potential confrontational issue. You just ask them a question, asking them to clarify, what have you heard? Or what are you thinking? Tell me more about that so that I can best answer your question. Do you see how this just rolls off my tongue? And ladies, you want to, like I said before, take a piece of paper and write down how you bring value to your buyers, how you bring value to your sellers, so that the compensation discussion is matter of fact, right? When I would present the buyer agency, I would say, and this is the buyer agency document that protects you and allows you to know that I am your representative and I will act in your best interest as we go throughout your buying process. It also protects me that you are loyal to me as I am loyal to you. And so we just need this to be executed. We just need your agreement, and they sign it. And how are you presenting compensation? How are you presenting the buyer agency? What are you thinking as you talk about buyer agency? Because what you're thinking and the way that your energy is bringing to the conversation, that's where the problem lies. So I hope with everything that I have, that this has helped fortify you to have more confidence, certainty, and conviction in those conversations. Okay. So don't forget, go ahead and write success in the comments to get the Zoom for my final free training of the year, which is called 6-Figure Success Secrets. And I'm holding it on Zoom, December 14th, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And as a bonus, for those of you who attend live, I am also going to invite you to come in with my clients to the following week. I'm going to have a 2-part session on 2024 biz planning. And so that's my gift to those of you who actually attend live on December 14th at 1 p.m. So write the word success. All right. Let me see if there's any questions at all. And I can answer those for you. Okay. Got lots of comments.
A two-part session.
Let me see. Okay, we got success. Hey, Maria. Hello. Awesome people. All right. I don't see any questions. I just see the word success. Great. Hope this has helped you. Let me know. Helped? Didn't help? Okay. And if it helped, yay, I did my job today and gave you value. If it didn't help, then I'll be in touch with you because I want to help you have these compensation conversations and have it be just a delightful experience for you, coming from a place of conviction and confidence and certainty, and for them to say, whew, got it. I was confused. I was scared, but no, she has answered my questions confidently, and I want her as my realtor because they'll feel safe. And as people feel safe, they're going to choose you to be their realtor. So I hope this has helped, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.